Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. I hope that you had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. Mine was great, and I was able to relax and enjoy with family. So I'm excited to be back to share this next video with you because it was my quickest win in a tournament game. In the last video, if you watched it, you'll see that I showed you my quickest loss in a tournament. It was rather embarrassing, but this one I was on the other side of the win. So I want to show it to you here real quick and then kind of explain a little bit more of the backstory that would make it make more sense. But let's jump right into it. I was playing with the white pieces here against Mr. James Bulger and played e4. He responded with c5, getting into a Sicilian defense. So I continued naturally, knight f3, and he plays knight c6, going into the classical lines of the Sicilian, the way they used to play this opening a long time ago, and it's still very popular today. d4, and now we have the typical exchanges. C takes d4, knight takes on d4, and then he plays this move e5. Now e5 is a normal move to play in these situations. You're immediately attacking the knight, asking white if he's going to exchange the knight here. It's not the best move. That typically the knight will just retreat either to b5 or go back to knight f3. You can even do some other different moves, but those are the most common ones. In this opening, however, I choose to go knight to f5. It's, again, it's a natural move. There's nothing really too special about it, but the other two moves that I outlined are the more popular ones. The only thing about this e5 move that you need to know is that, and why I played knight f5, is because this square d6 is considered a hole. We'll go through this in some of our lessons, but the idea behind it is that because we pushed the c5 pawn on the first move, or black did, and then pushed the e5 pawn on the fourth move, there is no pawn covering the d6 square, and so we call this a pawn hole. And so that's what the idea of knight to either f5 or knight to b5 is to place the knight to where we have a control of that d6 square, and now we're going to try to occupy it and control it here in the early opening, making black's life a little bit difficult. So if you decide on the black side that you're going to play this move e5, you have to know how to play with this hole. And I think this is what my opponent may have failed to really appreciate and just took it for granted that it's a main line. So he continues knight f6, and then I play bishop to g5, pinning the knight against the queen. We talk about the pins in our lessons, and so now the knight cannot take the pawn, which was the whole point of the move knight f6, was to attack the pawn. And so by pinning the knight, it protects the pawn for this move. But now we see that here, black makes a big mistake trying to break the pin with knight e7, which is a blunder because it loses the game on the spot. And I think the idea was that he wanted to trade off this knight on f5, offer the exchange, break the pin, and also renew the attack on the pawn on e4. So it seemed like on the surface he was doing a lot here. That was a strong move, but it's not, because I won on the very next move, knight d6. And this is a checkmate. Again, because the idea of the d6 hole, by moving his knight to e7, black blocked in the only defender to the d6 square, which was this bishop on f8. No defender means it's a hole, means I can place a piece there, and what better piece in this position than the knight? It was checkmate. The game was over. And so yeah, he was quite stunned by this, and because sometimes this happens in tournaments. This particular tournament we were playing one game a week. So we would go in and play at night, in the evenings, and play our game, and then go home. And then next week we'd return for the next round, and we'd do this for the entire month. So it could be that he was just maybe focused on work or home or what he was going to do later. But after this game, because it was over so quickly, we actually played a second game just for fun, and he actually ended up beating me in that game. It took him 80 moves, if I remember correctly. But he got his revenge after this one, so it was one-off for him. He just wasn't paying attention, and that can happen in tournaments. So we play the same openings again and again. The ideas are pretty typical, and somehow he just made a momentary lapse and lost the game. So hopefully this is an idea that you can use in your own games in this Sicilian defense if your opponent plays e5. Learn how to, if you're going to play it on the black side, you have to learn how to deal with this hole and play with this hole. And if you're on white, you want to learn how to take advantage of it if your opponent is careless. So thank you for watching this. This is now my third video, so thank you so much for watching. I'll keep coming out with new ones. This was a short game, and so we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you before the new year. Thank you.